Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue now and we'll talk about a subject that I personally believe is essential. Maybe has something to do with my past in sales. That is the price calculation quoting process. And we talked about this briefly yesterday. The quoting process is essential to have it quick and appropriate for the market, and then so you can send it out quickly. And the next company is specialized in this, focuses on this, and of course it uses AI and intelligent algorithms in order to quickly and more efficiently draw up quotes. And I'm very pleased to have a representative of the company here today. Welcome with me, David Kina, Senior Account Manager at Spanflug Technologies. And one very important thing for you is this. You might have a question, and you might want to ask David the question. And for that, you can use the QR codes there. So you'll see it up here too. You can ask your question there, and we can answer them here up on stage. I'll stop now and hand over to David. Thank you for the opportunity to hold this presentation here. Thank you for coming today. We want to talk about AI and intelligent algorithms today and how you can draw up a quote more quickly. And we'll begin here with the agenda. We'll first have a look at the challenges in quoting, calculating milled and turned parts, and then we will look at an automated quoting process with Spanmake, and we'll then, third point, have a summary. So we'll very briefly talk about Spanflug. Let me tell you about myself. My name is David Kinas. I am an expert in lathe systems. I am now in sales. I've been with Spanflug for 2 years. I have the opportunity to work there. I say it's an opportunity for me because it's a great company with a great product. Now let's have a look at the changes in calculating quotes for turned and milled parts. And there are three major factors here. Factor one, people. It's very difficult and challenging to draw up a good quote, and it's very difficult to find the right people for this, well-trained people. In addition to that, the quotes are difficult to reproduce. You know this from actual practice. If you have you have one part, 5 different people who then have to draw up a quote for it, you'll get 5 different results. And the second factor is the factor time. It takes a lot of time to draw up a quote. It takes a lot of effort and expense. And often the first person to send a quote is, the first company to send a quote is the company that gets the contract. And then point 3, there's an economic risk if you have an incorrect quote. So in summary, we can say that drawing up a quote can entail high effort and cost, and also entails a major economic risk. And I think a lot of people don't know how much effort and expense goes into calculating a quote, and we want to now have a look at that. By way of an example, here you have 2 different parts, a simple part and a more complex part. And what do we traditionally do if you get a query from a potential customer? You'll first of all check the 3D model, you have the technical drawing, you have to talk to the supplier of the semi-finished product, and so on and so forth, and that will take maybe 10 minutes for a simple part. Now, if you look at the complex part, the time that goes into it is much, much higher. It takes a lot more time to do all of these calculations and check everything, and this gives us a total time of more than 2 hours working time just to calculate the quote. Now, what would happen if you had automatic quoting, an automatic quoting solution? The 3D models, the technical drawings are automated, they're checked automatically. The semi-finished product, well, we talk to the supplier in real time, automatically. All of the production times are calculated automatically. And the huge advantage you have now is that on the very same day, you can send out that quote to your customer. If we look back, you can see here that it took a day or 2 for a simple part, and for a complex part, it took 5 to 7 days before you were able to send out your quote. quote. And this is something you can cut down to just 1 day for both, and you can send the quote to the customer the same day. And we had a look at the times here, and we also should look at the costs that are entailed when you draw up a quote. Here you've got an hourly rate of the person doing the calculating, 45 euros a minute, and 30% success premium. And for a simple part, you're talking about 25 euros. 5 euros for the automatic solution, and manually for the complex part, more than 300 euros, and this can be cut down to 15 automatically. Now, you see how much savings can be achieved there. We're talking about savings of up to 95% if you use this system to draw up your quote. So, what does an automatic quoting system do? That's what I am showing you on this chart here. You just need the 3D model and the technical drawings. You upload them, and a producibility study is done. The material, we check about that in real time. Production times are calculated, and then a proposed quote is made, and you can put that together in your actual quote. Enough theory, now let's look at the actual practice of this. Here you've got the part. We just got a query for this part, and now we have to do the calculations and put together a quote. Normally, we would start checking all of these things, but this time we want to do a live demo to show you how the quote can be calculated. Now, if you have registered with Spanflug, the company, you get to this page here. And there, the component that is a 3D model and the technical drawings can be uploaded. And you can do this with one part. You can do it for individual parts, or you can do it for several parts at the same time. And you can also have a zip file that you can drag and drop right into here. Now, the component that we just got a query about is going to be uploaded to here, and then we will have the calculations done with this software. So for that, the component is being uploaded, and then we use the 3D model to calculate the volume of the machining that has to be done, and then we take from the technical drawing all the features relevant for manufacturing, the material, the different surface qualities, shape and position tolerance, and so on and so forth. All of this is taken automatically from the technical drawing and put into tables. On the left-hand side, you see a 3D viewer where you can have a look at the part, and you can look into the part, like with X-ray vision, to see different holes, and there you can see a difficulty. You've got the hole, the transverse hole in the part there. We'll go back to the normal view now, and now all of the data has been read, and automatically it's been put into the table. And here you see that the material has been selected. You see different information from the drawing that's been read, and it's been put into the table. And now it's possible to add certain types of machining, finishing. And now we will add the number. Here we'll add the number 100, and we will calculate the result. You can do different finishing things like anodizing and so on. And now there's calculations being done, times and so on, and we check with the supplier of the semi-finished product in real time. We're linked to different suppliers that give us the actual price that very day. And now the calculation of the quote is done. That's been completed, so I'll just skip past a lot of information you have here. There you have the semi-finished product, and I'm going across the work plan, and I'll move right on to the proposed quote. There you have the cost of manufacturing, including overheads and your profit margin. Now, of course, we want to put this together to come up with an actual quote, and for that you have the bottom left, it says store quote. There you enter the name that you want to give to this quote, and then you go on to the next page. And there you can select a customer. You've previously saved that customer in there. There you have all the information about the customer, delivery address, invoice address, and underneath there you've got the component, the part that we'd like to send a quote for to the customer. You can add other items such as packaging costs and so on, other line items. And then you have the conditions of the offer. We previously have established those, and then you could customize them for the customer too. And now this is exported, and you put it into a quote PDF. You click on export. That's the quote PDF, and that's available in different languages and in different currencies as well. You can export it in any of these as you wish. Now, let's export this and see what the PDF file for the quote looks like. You've got it right here. It's ready to send out. That's your quote with your logo, with your address, and all of the data that you have there. Doesn't say Spanflug anywhere. It's completely customized to your requirements. Now, you see how fast that was. Now, behind there's a lot more details behind what you've seen. So, I'd now like to jump back into the quoting software and talk about some of the details. And for that, we'll click on this German word Kalkulation, calculation or quote, and we'll select the part again. And here you have the view that you had originally. At the beginning, there you see the product characteristics, features, what are the dimensions of the component, what is the weight, the mass, can you produce it with that weight. Then you have different amounts, they are calculated automatically too, and they can be changed as well. And the first point in your work plan is supply of material. And as I said, we're directly linked to different suppliers of semi-finished products, and we get the product price for that very day. And you can say, well, let's click on this link and see what the offer is for the semi-finished product. We show you very transparently where that's from, that semi-finished product. Here it's SRS Steel, SRS Stahl, and there you can just say, okay, I'll accept that quote for the semi-finished product and put it in there. This is a pre-selected semi-finished product for us, and of course you can adapt this to whatever you have in your company. And then you can change the round rod and put it in and change it to a tube, or you can upload individual geometry such as cast parts, profiles, and so on, and you can use those for your calculations. Now, if you go down here, you have the semi-finished product features, and you can enter the dimensions that you need, if you need different dimensions, and you can have a customized semi-finished product that you order. And here you have the turning and milling step, and you can see that they already have machines in there. You can store your machinery in here, and we have it's selected one machine here. You can change that. You'd say, I don't want to do it on this machine, I want to do it on a different machine. In addition to that, we show you the hourly rates and a tool proposal that we used in order to do the calculations for this product. And here you see all of the tools we've got, all the tools we've used for the calculations for this product, with a direct link to a company called Ceratizit, which is one of our partners. And then the tool that you're maybe lacking can be directly ordered here. And that's what you see here on the right-hand side. And then the times, the running times are very important. And there you see the process times, the programming times, the setup time, and the production or manufacturing time per unit. On the right, then, you see the unit price and the total price for the whole entire operation of machining or turning and then milling. Then you can have user-defined items such as anodizing. You can add that here and put it in the right spot in your working plan. Underneath there you have the calculation proposal. We had a look at that previously, and there you have the proposal for the delivery time. As I said, I've already got machines stored in here, and you can do that too. You can store all of your machines in here, and for that you click on Werkzeugmaschinen or Machine Tools at the top right. But you don't have to do that. We've predefined machine tools. They're standard machines that we've got stored in there, and you can use those if you wish. You can activate this list to do that. So if you register, you can directly start with your calculation of quotes, and you don't have to go through a long process in order to enter all of your machines and define lots of things. You can deactivate all of that if you've saved or stored your own machines in here, and we'll use an example here. The hourly rates are very important that you store in there, and then the operation in general, what you have available, 3-axis, 4-axis, 5-axis machine. Do you have a counter spindle in a milling machine, or do you have driven tools? And there you have the spindle revolution speeds. So with these tools you can enter a range, diameter such to diameter such, and within that range you select standard tools that you use for your calculation of the quote. And then you have component features. You enter those because we do a producibility analysis for the part, and then it says whether or not you're going to be able to produce it. In addition to that, you can go to the calculation settings, and then the times that we've calculated can be adjusted to what you actually have in your company. So let's say there's not much variance, but there might be a little variance. Let's say your setup times are 10% faster than what we at Spanflug have come up with, and you can adapt that. You can set the factor to 0.9, or let's say you're a little slower with your programming, you can then pull that slider up or across to make it higher. And you can do that for all of the material costs too, and also with the times for the machine running time for the component. You can adjust all of that. Now I'll go back to the quote calculation to show you one last thing, and it's this. With our Spanflug software, you can have a look at your old quote calculation. You can go to Component here, Bauteil, and all of the components that you've ever calculated are stored in here, and you can have a look at those and see parts that you've already done before and check what your calculations were back then. Okay, that was it for our live demo here. So now I will go back to the presentation, and I'll summarize it here for you. What are your advantages with Spanflug? With Spanflug, you save time, and in the future, you'll be the first company to send out your quote to the customer. In addition to that, you'll be able to reduce your HR resources so your skilled workers can be used in other departments, other areas. In brief, you can dramatically cut the cost of drawing up a quote. In 2018, we founded Spanflug, and 1 year later, our purchasing platform, Spanflug Buy, was introduced into the marketplace. 2019, then, we introduced the quote calculation software, and today, 2025, we're the leading platform for CNC parts, milling and machining in the German-speaking countries. So you can calculate your components, you can also order your required components from us. Now, this is of course all based on an intelligent algorithm, but it's also based on people doing this work. We now have 70 people in the company, more than 70 people, working for Spanflug, experts from manufacturing, technology, and software development, marketing, operations, and sales, and even a couple other departments. Now, none of this would have been possible with our partners and other supporters. And here I'd like to focus on VDW. They were an anchor investor to begin with, and then a company called Ceratizit, and they became a partner for us recently. Thank you for your attention. And if you want to have even deeper insight into this software for quotes or the purchasing platform, you can come and visit us at our booth, Hall 6A46. Great. Give him a big hand. David, thank you for that presentation. There are some questions there, but I'd like to start with the question. I know a little bit about your product. Now, let's say you talk to customers. Are customers more interested in the savings that they can achieve in drawing up a quote, because it's not so much about the speed, it's about saving working time, reducing working time, or is it about speedier quote going out to customers? Which is more important? Well, actually, both are very important. Like I said, that the time savings are really important, so that you don't have to put so much effort into drawing up a quote and also sending out the quote quickly. So I'd say they're both important. Working time is important, but as I said, often the company that gets the contract awarded to them is the company that sends out their quote first. The next question is in English. And it's an important one. When you draw up the quotes, how do you do the individual settings for the machine and the parts and so on? If I use your software, and we're talking about AI that's being used to a certain extent, so do I have to, how can I make sure that my settings are taken into account? Well, as I said, you can use the standard machines that we, Spanflug, put in there, but you can enter your own ones too. Is it a 3-axis machine, a 5-axis machine? There's a huge difference there in terms of processing. What about the spindle speeds and so on? In addition to that, in your calculation settings, you can also individually adapt or adjust all the time, so you can really adjust a lot of details. The next question that's just as important, I was going to ask this too. It's a cloud-based solution, right? Cloud-based software? Yeah, so the question is this. I've got an existing ERP system, and I've got MS Office 365, and I want to send out the quote to the customer. That might be easy, but is there an interface somehow to my existing system, because all of the data has to be uploaded into your system somehow? Well, I just showed you how we do the quote in our program, but in addition to that, you can have a CSV file or a JSON file that you can export, and that file can then go into your ERP system. So you take something out of there, and then you put it into your system. There's a manual process, but theoretically for the future, you'd be able to directly link it up. Yes. Okay, Spanflug has been in the market for a while. How many customers do you have, and how's your business going? Sorry, I've got to ask that. I have to check and see whether I'm allowed to answer that. We've got a few hundred customers that use our quoting software. So we do have a few hundred already that use this software, and many more that use our purchasing platform. Yeah, but let's talk about customer size. We've got small CNC suppliers, huge companies, everything in between. Who would benefit most from this? Does everyone benefit from it? I can imagine a big company might have their own solutions already, or use their own solutions or templates or whatever. So what's your typical customer at Spanflug? Well, it's a company that produces on the basis of a contract. It's not just small or big ones. It's contract-based companies that use our quoting software, from individual one-man companies and huge companies that work in the field of mechanical engineering. Well, another question that's going to be interesting to people is, what does it cost to use that? Is it subscription-based, or do you pay a one-off fee, or what? Well, first of all, it costs nothing, and that remains the case. You can register with us on our webpage, and the quoting software can be used for up to 5 parts per month that you upload. Now, if you want to do more quotes per month, then you can upgrade to a monthly subscription that's 399 euros a month, or an annual subscription for 3,990 euros. Great. Well, there's another question. Can I use the software to purchase a part for which we have a drawing? Yes, you can. I mentioned that briefly at the end. We have the quoting software, and we also have a purchasing platforms, Spanflug Buy, and you can use that in order to directly order the components you need. So you can directly order components from us, yes. Great. Okay, where can we find you here at the trade show? You mentioned it, maybe we can hear it again. It doesn't say it up there. Hall 6, A46. With the startups? No, we're no longer with the startups. Yes, you're bigger now. Okay, David, thank you for being here. Great presentation, interesting solution. Was interesting last time, still is. Thanks to Spanflug, and see you soon. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.